The sun hung low over Willow Creek, casting a warm golden hue across the sprawling fields of corn and wheat. The sound of cicadas filled the air, a rhythmic hum that blended with the distant clatter of machinery. At the edge of this picturesque landscape stood a weathered farmhouse, its paint peeling but still charming in its rustic way. Inside, Sarah Thompson was wrestling with her two kids, Mia and Jake, who were bouncing on the couch, their laughter echoing through the house. "Mom, look, I'm a superhero," Jake yelled, flinging himself off the couch and executing a dramatic roll on the floor. "Superheroes don't roll like that, silly," Mia chimed in, her pigtails bouncing as she followed her brother's lead. "Do too," Jake shot back, a playful scowl on his face as he got back to his feet. Sarah tried to stifle a laugh, but couldn't help herself. Okay, you two. Superheroes need to clean up before they save the world." "Ugh," Mia groaned, flopping back onto the couch. "Cleaning is boring." Just then, a loud thud resonated from outside, followed by the rumble of a heavy engine. Sarah peered out the window, her heart sinking as she spotted the familiar truck that belonged to her ex-husband Mark. He stood at the back, his silhouette outlined against the setting sun, towering and imposing. "Great," Sarah muttered under her breath. "Just what I needed today." Mark had been a constant thorn in her side since their split, always showing up unannounced, demanding attention, and making sweeping claims about their children. "Mom, who's that?" Jake asked, his voice small as he clung to the edge of the couch. "Just someone I need to talk to. Stay inside, okay?" The kids nodded, though their wide eyes betrayed their curiosity. With a deep breath, she stepped outside, her heart racing. "Mark," she said, her tone even but firm as she approached him. "Well, if it isn't my favorite ex-wife," he drawled, a smirk playing on his lips. "Miss me?" "Not even a little," she shot back, crossing her arms. "What do you want?" "I came to see my kids." "Is that a crime?" He leaned against the truck, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp, calculating. "I'm sure you could have called first. They're not here for a visitation today." "Is that so?" He pushed off the truck and took a step closer, invading her personal space. "You think you can keep them away from me forever?" "I'm not keeping them away," she retorted, refusing to back down. "I'm trying to give them a stable life, something you never cared about." "Right. Because living in this rundown shack is so stable." He gestured dismissively to the house. "Better than being with someone who thinks money can buy love." Mark's expression darkened. "You think you're better than me now because you're playing house with that millionaire farmer?" His words cut deep, but Sarah held her ground. "He's a good man, Mark. You should try being one." "Let's see how good he is when I show up and remind him of the kind of baggage he's dealing with." With that, Mark turned on his heel and climbed into his truck, revving the engine as he shot her one last glare before peeling away, gravel spraying in his wake. Sarah stared after him, her heart pounding. Just then, she felt a gentle hand on her shoulder. It was Ethan, the millionaire farmer who owned the land surrounding hers. He had been a steady presence in her life since he'd moved there months ago, his kindness a welcome relief from the turbulence Mark had brought. "Are you okay?" His deep voice was soothing, a stark contrast to the chaos left by her ex. "Yeah, just another round with Mark," she sighed, rubbing her temples. "He's relentless." "Want to talk about it?" Ethan offered, his blue eyes piercing through her defenses. "I don't know if talking will help," she murmured, glancing back at the house where the kids were still peeking out the window. "I just want to protect them." Ethan nodded, his gaze steady. "You're doing a good job. It's not easy, but you're strong." As the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky erupted in shades of orange and purple, and Sarah felt a warmth spread from Ethan's presence. "Thank you," she said softly. "It means a lot." Just then, a loud laugh erupted from Mia, who had come outside, pulling Jake along. "What are you talking about?" she chirped, her eyes bright with curiosity. "Just grown-up stuff," Sarah replied, ruffling her daughter's hair. "Grown-ups are weird," Jake interjected, grinning wide. "Oh, you have no idea," Ethan chuckled, kneeling to their level. "But you two are way cooler than most grown-ups I know." "Is that because you have a cool tractor?" Mia asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Exactly, and I'll let you both ride in it this weekend if you promise to help me with some chores." "Deal," they shouted in unison, their earlier worries forgotten. As the evening turned to night, laughter filled the air, a much-needed balm after the confrontation with Mark. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of unease settling in her stomach. What would Mark do next? Days passed, and life continued in its rhythm. Sarah found joy in the little moments with her children and the growing friendship with Ethan. They shared meals, laughter, and even some flirtatious banter that made her heart race. "Hey Mia, you think we should bake cookies tomorrow?" Ethan asked one afternoon as they sat on the porch, the sun casting a warm glow over them. "Can I help?" Mia's eyes lit up. "Of course, you can be my official cookie tester," he replied with a wink. "Yay!" Mia squealed, jumping up and down. But just as the laughter faded, the familiar roar of Mark's truck echoed through the fields, and Sarah's stomach dropped. "Mom?" Jake whispered, sensing the shift in her demeanor. "Stay here," she instructed, her voice firm. Ethan shot her a concerned look. "I'll be right here." As she walked to the edge of the porch, Mark stepped out of his truck, his expression a mix of anger and determination. "Sarah," he shouted, his voice carrying across the yard. "What do you want, Mark?" she asked, trying to keep her composure. "I want to talk to my kids. You can't keep them from me forever." "They're not home right now. You need to leave." Her heart raced as she felt the tension in the air. Mark took a step forward, his face twisted in frustration. "I'm not going anywhere until I see them. You think you can just play house with your new boyfriend and forget about me?" Ethan stepped off the porch, positioning himself protectively beside Sarah. "You need to leave," he said firmly, his calm demeanor contrasting sharply with Mark's aggression. Mark's eyes flicked between them, disbelief morphing into rage. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who cares about Sarah and her kids," Ethan replied, his voice steady. "Stay out of this," Mark warned, his fists clenching at his sides. "Not a chance," Ethan countered, stepping closer. "You have no right to intimidate her. You've made your choices, and it's time to accept the consequences." "Consequences?" Mark laughed, a harsh sound. "You think you can just waltz in and play the hero? You have no idea who I am or what I'm capable of." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine, but she refused to show fear. "Leave. Now," she said, her voice stronger than she felt. Mark's gaze hardened as he turned back to her, his expression a mix of fury and desperation. "You'll regret this, Sarah. I'm not done fighting for my kids." "Goodbye, Mark," she said, her heart pounding. With a final glare, Mark stormed back to his truck, slamming the door behind him. The engine roared to life, and he sped away, leaving a cloud of dust in his wake. "Are you okay?" Ethan asked, his voice low as he studied her face. "I will be," she replied, though her voice trembled. "Let's go inside," he suggested gently, guiding her back to the porch, where the kids were peeking out through the screen door, wide-eyed and worried. "Mom, is everything all right?" Mia asked, her small voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah, honey, everything's fine," Sarah assured her, reaching out to hold her daughter's hand. "Just a little disagreement, that's all." Ethan knelt beside them, his presence comforting. "How about we bake those cookies now? Nothing like chocolate chip cookies to make everything better, right?" "Yay!" Jake cheered, his earlier worry forgotten. As they moved into the kitchen, Sarah felt a sense of peace settle over her. She watched as Ethan effortlessly mixed the batter, the kids giggling as they helped. "All right, but you have to promise to save some for me," she teased, her heart swelling at the sight of them all together. Ethan grinned. "I think I can manage that." Later that evening, as the sweet aroma of cookies filled the house, Sarah felt a sense of normalcy wash over her. She glanced at Ethan, who was playfully arguing with the kids about the best way to eat a cookie. "Mom, can we use sprinkles?" Mia asked, her face alight with excitement. "Of course, a sprinkle explosion," Ethan declared, making them all laugh. But even as they enjoyed their time together, Sarah knew the confrontation with Mark had opened a floodgate of uncertainty. He wouldn't back down easily, and the stakes were higher than ever. As the night wore on and the children finally fell asleep, Sarah found herself sitting on the porch, lost in thought. Ethan joined her, the quiet comfort between them palpable. "Hey," he said softly, his voice breaking the silence. "You okay?" "I will be," she replied, glancing up at the stars twinkling overhead. "But I'm worried about what Mark will do next. He's not going to get away with this." Ethan assured her, his tone unwavering. "You have me on your side. I won't let him intimidate you." Sarah smiled, warmth blooming in her chest. "I know. Thank you for standing up for me today. Always, he replied, his gaze sincere. Just then, the sound of laughter erupted from the house, followed by a loud crash as a cookie sheet hit the floor. Oops. Mia's voice rang out, and Sarah couldn't help but laugh. Guess the cookie monster is at it again, Ethan remarked with a chuckle. Sarah's laughter echoed in the night air, a sound of defiance against the darkness that Mark represented in her life. Yeah, but it's the best kind of chaos. As they stood together, the weight of the world felt a little lighter. The stakes were high, but for the first time in a long while, Sarah felt hope. With Ethan by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. Together, they would fight for their little patch of happiness, one chocolate chip cookie at a time.